listening and speaking skill. You must listen to develop your listening abilities. You must listen carefully and attentively. It will never work to passively listen to something you don't comprehend. So listening carefully is important. What's the difference between passive and active listening? Why doesn't passive listening work? That is the question. What is passive listening? What is the definition of passive listening? When you listen to something without giving it your entire attention, this is known as passive listening. For instance, you may listen to English radio in the background while working on, or you may listen to some other language or your mother tongue language music without paying attention to the lyrics. Passive listening is ineffective since you aren't listening. You are preoccupied with something else, such as work, sleep, or daydreaming, rather than listening to the sounds. You don't expect to suddenly grasp what you're hearing if you listen to it this way, because your attention is somewhere else. Think about it. We don't recall or understand things unless we pay attention to them, even in our own language, mother tongue, or the language of our own. Many individuals, for example, enjoy listening to the radio in their kitchen while they are cooking or when eating breakfast in the morning. Maybe this is something you do as well. However, how much of what you hear do you remember? If you are being honest, not much, because you weren't paying attention to. You could recall a favorite song or something significant that was discussed on the news, but unless you actively try to concentrate on what you are listening to, the majority of it will pass through one ear and out to the other ear. You will not remember, you cannot recall, because you were not paying attention to it. Why do we think doing the same thing in another language will have different result when it happens in our native language or mother tongue? The concept of passive learning appeals to many people because it promises outcome without requiring any effort. But the truth is that it just does not follow through on its promises. If you are wasting time passively listening to learn a language, it's time to stop and start practicing more effectively. Instead, speaking skill or speaking abilities. Most language learners find the thought of speaking their new language intimidating. I know folks who have studied for years and years but have yet to have a conversation in their target language. I understand it takes a lot of effort to speak a foreign language to a native speaker for the first time. What happens if you make a mistake? Will the fact that you have made a mistake in their language offend them? Will they laugh at you because they believe you are stupid? No one wants to make themselves look like stupid, right? Speaking, in my opinion, is the most effective way to develop your language abilities. Yes, it's frightening at first. However, once you have spoken with a few native speakers, your confidence will quickly grow. Along with hearing, reading, and writing, speaking is one of the 4 language skills. However, in this video, I would like to break down speaking into fluency and pronunciation. Lots of practice is the key to enhancing both elements of your speaking. And for the best outcome, you need to know how to practice and do it frequently. If you merely work on your fluency and pronunciation regularly, you will see the development. But you have to do it regularly. The more time you spend practicing a skill, the better you will succeed at it. So, practice, practice, practice. That's the solution to learn a new language. The majority of the people find speaking a foreign language significantly more difficult than reading and understanding it. This is very natural because when you speak, you're on the spot and must produce language quickly. This is tough since the new language is frequently incomprehensible when compared to your original one. There are distinctions in sentence structure and grammar, not to mention the requirement to remember certain terminology. Here are some pointers to help you improve your speaking abilities in a foreign language or target language. Practice speaking on daily basis. Daily speak your target language. It's all about communicating when learning a new language. The goal of learning a second language is to be able to communicate in that language. Try to speak the language every day, either out loud to yourself or in conversation with another native speaker, such as colleague, a friend, a tutor, or a language exchange partner if possible. The only way to get better at speaking is to do it more and more. Practice. Discuss a topic. Make a list of potential themes and consider what you could say about each one. You may start by writing down your thoughts and reading them loud. Look up any unfamiliar words. You might even come up with questions to ask someone else at the end, because communication is a two-way street. You will be asking about someone else as well as communicating. There are few examples of possible topics you can talk.